This is the Be More podcast. I am your host, Jack Williams, and this is a show all about health, nutrition, mindset, and performing at our very best. And this is going to be your catalyst to being more. Welcome to episode number 43 of the Be More podcast. Today, I am very fortunate to be joined by today's guest. Jess, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I am very excited because I've already heard the story and I am so excited for the podcast listeners to hear it too. I think rather than me go on, like I always do, without further ado, tell us your story.
Yeah, definitely. So, growing up, I lived with my parents and my brother, who's 2 years older than me, and we lived in a housing, like a council house, and you know, it wasn't always easy growing up. You know, as a young child in this sort of generation, there has its faults. And I think when it hits secondary school, which is when you remember, it gets, the teenage years, it gets worse. And I remember starting secondary school and being in the lower sets of school because academic-wise, I'm not very smart. And when you're in the lower sets, you get the front of house bullying. You're in learning support sort of thing. And so you go through that sort of stage in your life where you got some comments being thrown around about you, but like who hasn't gone through that? And it was okay at home at that stage, and then hit a few more years in, my parents' marriage sort of, I want to say, deteriorated. Didn't go, is that the right word to say?
Yeah, I guess so.
Didn't really, work out. There was different problems, and they split up for a few years. And at that point, I was old enough to understand.
How old were you?
I was about 12, so I understood that sort of relationship drama, and you're old enough and mature enough at these days to understand why and stuff like that. So, I was at home. I remember being up at 2 a.m, listening to.
Did you understand why?
Yeah. So it did get very, you could hear it. Like 2 a.m, I'm sat up in my bed listening, and as a 12-year-old, it's very stressful for your mind to go through that sort of thing. And it's sad to hear two people that you really, you care about, you look up to, going through that. And it sort of takes an impact. And we were a very close family, so to have that, it's we went on our holidays, it was the 4 of us, it was like a normal family, and then to go through that, it was just a completely whirlwind. And so on top of having drama and horrible moments at school, there was also that. I hit higher as I go into school. I actually managed to get myself out learning sport, put my head down, started studying, and got up into the top classes. I say top, I mean middle. And I got into the middle classes, and I made friends, and started to really hang around with probably the wrong crowd as well. Obviously teenagers. I was probably the girl behind the bus stop in the uniform, smoking a cigarette at like 12. It's not great, but you do see it these days, and it's quite shocking.
Did you do it to fit in with everyone else, or was you the one leading the way?
I did it to fit in with everyone else, I have to be honest. You just sort of, because you're hanging around with that crowd, if you're not doing it, you're not part of that crowd sort of thing. And it was sort of like that. And then I got away from that, and I became quite a bit of a class clown. I was very confident, and but I was still going through quite a lot of trouble at home. So it was it was a lot going on at that stage, and this was in 2012 sort of time. I used to go on camping trips as well with my brother and this big club thing. We'd go, and one year we went for a week, but 2 days in I actually ended up breaking my ankle quite badly, a complete fracture. And after that I sort of, I wasn't, my main sport's football. I feel like I'm going in so many different subjects. My main sport is football, and I had to stop playing for a year or so. So during that year, was quite tough because home was trouble, school was okay, it got better. I stopped hanging around with the wrong crowds, but I wasn't playing football, which is the only release I had. and I ended up comfort eating, gaining so much weight. And
how old were you this time?
I was about 13. Yeah, so I was 13 when I broke my ankle. This was 7 years ago. The other day actually, and so I gained all this weight, and I was, with my friends who were all completely skinny and really beautiful, and I felt like I was like the stompy one of the group. And I think it's hard to like explain what it then led into, but life went on, and then it got to about Christmas time. I then ended up getting myself into starting off what was quite a bad thing for me. So I ended up having bulimia, which is a eating disorder to which you comfort eat, and then don't really have to explain the rest. You vomit basically, and it was probably quite weird when I remember I remember the first weeks of it, and it was just so secretive, so strange. And then did I not realise how long it would go for afterwards? So at that point, my dad had moved out I think he moved out for 2 years. So it was just me and my mum at home. My brother would stay around his friends or his girlfriends, so we barely saw him, only on the weekends. And so it was just me and my mum for a good 2 years. We were at home, and it was quite a time in my life. I was sort of on my own, because my mum was obviously going through this break, and she was not in the right frame of mind to, and I felt like sometimes I was like looking after myself. But my mum and I are very close, so we stuck together, and I remember having good times, but I remember also just being able to get away with stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, and harming myself in the sense of it having an eating disorder, and no one knew about it. And then it sort of got towards the end of school, so it was going on from like year 9 so that's 3 years, on to like end of school. And I remember going to prom, and still there's no changes, so your body doesn't change when you have bulimia. It can if you have bulimia and anorexia, but you can't see people that have effects. It's a secret thing, and people do it. It's very different why people do it. Some people do it for the weight loss that they think is going to happen, but for me it was more control. I had no control outside of my life. I couldn't control school, I couldn't control my home life, I couldn't control, I got back into football after I recovered, but I couldn't control much. And so I went through that. That's the 3-year gap, and I then left school and I went to college, to which I then I went to a college called Merriswood, and I did the Chelsea Ladies Foundation. And it was really fun playing football like 6 times a week, really enjoying it, getting better and better every day, meeting new friends, but still having an eating disorder on the side. And I actually got into another team as well. I started playing with Fulham on the weekends, so your work life, I was balancing college life and football as well as that on my chest. It was just very hard, and to those 3 years that's when you could notice I was getting very, very sick, and I was getting very, I was really sort of in quite a lot of danger. So I started college in 2014, and to which in 2015, I haven't actually brought this up, but when I was going through a breakup, my parents were going through a breakup, my grandmother was like our rock. She held me and my mum up high. She knew all about what I was doing. She was always, you need to stop this, you're really gonna suffer. But obviously I'm just a teenager, I'll do what I want. I'm not gonna stop, because it became an addiction to do it. And my grandmother then was diagnosed with terminal cancer, so the rock fell apart, and she passed away in 2015. And at this point in my life, I've still got college, I'm still playing football, I've still got an eating disorder, and I've now got that, like, grieving over a lost one. And I've never stopped sort of grieving. You never get over that sort of thing, to lose someone very dear to you. And it just, from that point, it got so bad, like awful. I was at this time as well, I was in a relationship that was just not, it wasn't good. It was a very toxic relationship. So, you know, there's another element to a very juggled up life. You know, then, you know, I was still doing it because, again, everything in my life I couldn't control, whereas that was the only thing I had in my hands. So, you know, not only, you know, it got to the point a few months down the line, you can notice I was really getting sick. My body frame was just going in, I was getting very slim, I was collapsing, I was awful. And when I went to hospital, and all they did, here's a leaflet, and here's, you know, let's arrange a counselling, to which I went to, and all I had was, you know, writing nothing back, no like real therapy there, nothing that will, you know, stop me from doing what I was doing. So it was just like, it was an ongoing battle. You know, it was a daily thing, and it was tough. It was to the point where I'd finish college, I'd drive straight home. On the way home is a McDonald's, Tesco's, I'd get all this food, and then I'd just have, you know, moments where I'm sat in my room with door locked, just completely stuffing my face and then releasing it all. And it's just the worst thing.
And you do that every day?
I did that every day, yeah. I did that every day. I didn't eat during the day, and then I'd do that. So you can imagine how bad I was putting my body through. And my body now, even to this day, is still struggling because of what I put it through. And I didn't look after it, and obviously didn't realise how bad it was until about Christmas time, when I really had a bad episode and, you know, collapsed.
This Christmas?
Not this Christmas, it was 2016. So it was terrible. And then I left college. That relationship I was in, toxic relationship, ended. And you know, we moved house as well, so we moved house, and you know, it was so up in the air. When I left college, I went straight into work. So I went straight into sales, because behind the scenes I was struggling, but you know, in the scenes I was very confident. I could talk to people. I completely loved life outside, but really I didn't. You'd think you'd speak to me and you think this girl is like on a high, but I wasn't. You know, no one knew behind the curtains, and it's very, you know, as I said, it's secretive. You can hide these things so easy, and people don't realise. Like I was at school, and people thought this girl's just got nothing wrong with her. She's just laughing her head off. She's up in assembly, you know, laughing with her friends, like she's having a great life, but they don't realise what's going on behind the scenes. How would you? You know, unless I tell you, you know, you wouldn't notice. But you know, when it got to that stage where it's quite bad, you can see I was getting very slim. That's when you could tell something was up, something's going on. But when I left, after that, I then got in a relationship with James. So that was in 2016, and I became better. So I got into work. You know, I started working at a gym called David Lloyd, and I was in sales there. And it was, you know, life started going upwards, because I think I hit rock bottom. I remember just being on the floor, and my mum and dad, you know, this broke our relationship to the point where my parents were just, they didn't know what to do. And after my grandmother passed away, my mum and dad actually got back together. So they worked out their problems. So that was something, you know, I thought that's like another thing that's like gone up. So, you know, we hit rock bottom, you go up with these things. You're definitely going to have to edit this, by the way. I'm saying different things.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Different points. So yeah, my mum and dad are back together. I started working. I'm in a relationship with James, which is a very good relationship. You know, I love him to pieces, and we had a, you know, really, it's just so, he's like my best friend. And, you know, it started to settle, you know. I wasn't doing it as much, I wasn't doing it as severe. You know, I wouldn't starve myself all day and then go back and do that. I was okay. For a little while, I started I didn't eat throughout the day, and then I'd go home and just have a dinner and go to bed. There were some days though where it did happen, as you would, because, you know, getting over an addiction without any help is isn't great. You know, you're never going to do it easy. It's not going to be as easy as that. And I don't think that's why a lot of people didn't understand, especially ones that love me a lot. They didn't understand what I was going through and why I was doing it to myself. They were just so confused. And it broke a lot of people. It was, you know, I didn't realise how much it was hurting my mum. I didn't realise how much it was hurting my dad. You know, it was just, I think my dad did understand a little bit though, because I remember having a chat with him and he was like, "You're poorly, Jess. You know, just like anyone, you're poorly." And I was like, I know. So, you know, further into work, you know, I'd left college. I actually did really well in college. I got all 3 merits. Compared to leaving school, obviously, I didn't get any GCSEs that I needed. However, I got B in RE. The one thing I didn't revise for.
How?
I literally remember being outside the exam joking about Jesus, saying he's not real and it's Santa, that's real. And then coming out with a B, it was just like, well, how did that happen, sort of thing.
But now you believe in Jesus.
Now I believe in Jesus. So I remember opening them on holiday with my friend. She's got all her like A's and C's. And I'm like, I got a B in RE. I'm going to become a nun. so you know, making a joke, make it funny. So yeah, I left college really well. You know, I left with the results I needed. Well, I actually haven't really used them. They just look good on the CV sort of thing. So, you know, I'm working, I'm meeting new people, I'm joining people up to the gym, I'm telling them how important it is to live a good lifestyle. Yeah, I'm not living a good lifestyle. So it became, you know, I was doing the job very well, and then it hit sort of Christmas time, again, 2016 Christmas. 2015 was when I had my relapse. 2016 Christmas, I wasn't doing very well at work because I still had loads on my plate, and at this rate I was arguing with my parents about rent and being at home, apparently being lazy, to which I think I was, because I'd start work sometimes at 1 and finish at 9, and in the morning I didn't make use of it. I just stayed in bed and watched films, like very a lazy sort of, but I was 17, 18, I was a teenager, and I remember Dad just being, "Make something of your life," and I was like, I'm going to work at 1 till 9, so don't tell me that. And you know, I didn't realise like I wasn't actually making anything of my life. I was just going to work and going home. I had a good social life. I had my friends. I'd go around there, so I'd visit everyone. I then finally, you know, having an ongoing battle with my mum and dad about rent, paying so much money to them, and I didn't think I should be paying that. I'm your daughter. I'm not a lodger. I then moved out. So I moved out with my parents. I moved back to where I originally was, which was in Woking, and I moved in with James and another person, just because living in Woking is like ridiculously expensive. Yeah. So you can't really rent somewhere on your own if you're only on 18 grand a year. So, you know, I transferred my job at David Lloyd to the David Lloyd in Woking, and I moved there, and it was like, right, this is a new start for me. 2017 is my year. I cannot wait. And I thought, right, it's gonna be really good, but it didn't go that way. I started work. The first day of work, I had tonsillitis, so I was off for a week. That was a good start to my, you know, transfer, my new job, this new club. People probably thought I wasn't going to come back. I came back. I smashed my first month there. The second month, I was struggling at Christmas in Portsmouth. Moving to Woking, I was still struggling with trying to, you know, sell people memberships and lifestyle. And that sales office was very cutthroat. Gosh, it was cutthroat.
Really?
Yeah. Because you're selling like £90 a month memberships, £100 a month memberships. And if you're not, basically their only way to sort of like try and manage you, I felt, was sort of put you on like threaten your job, basically. You know, if you don't hit 3 months, we're going to have to, you know, dismiss you.
Really?
It was that sort of cutthroat sales, and it was just okay, like, and you know, I don't work well with that because it's upsetting, it's stressful, but it does push me to like work harder, and I worked harder. I stayed there for 10 more months. You know, I was working in an office full of girls, so sometimes it was bitchy. And I thought, you know, I thought 2017 was going to be my year, and I'm stuck in this office, dreading coming to work every day. I mean, it was cool, you know, you're 18, you're living in your own place, like, you like think you made it. I'm renting this place, I've got a nice car, I'm working hard, but that's nothing compared to what else you can get out of life. And you know, I thought I was content, but I wasn't. I was again still doing the same thing, starting 1 till 9 in the morning, watching Netflix. And did I not only just get it from my dad saying I was lazy, James was also, Jess, what are you doing with your life? You're just lazy, you're not doing anything. And I wasn't going to the gym either, I wasn't doing any workouts. I gave up football after college. So what was I doing? I was doing nothing that I enjoyed. And I hated going to work. I remember just every morning just looking in the mirror and going, right, get through today, it'll be fine. Like, who tells themselves that in the morning?
Is that what you used to do?
I used to say that. I said, just get through today.
And did you still have bulimia at this point?
I still had bulimia, but not as severe. It was very rare, and it was very hidden still from James. I think that was my biggest fear. Did
James ever know?
James found out a few times, and he was just, he wasn't angry, he was just disappointed. But you know, I think it took me a long time to be mature enough to talk to James and tell him why I was doing it. And you know, he stuck by my side. He was more upset, and he was scared. He was like worried because he picked me up when I was like hit rock bottom, really, because we met in 2015 when I went through my relapse. And then 2016 I was still at home, still doing it. And then 2017 I was at the flat, I was doing it. You know, it was the only thing that, on my days off, I'd go to the shop, I'd buy loads of food, I'd eat it all, and then I'd just do that. And it was like, what kind of day off is that? You know, normally my normal friends would go out and like go shopping or meet up with their friends or go to the gym, like have a good time, and I'm like hidden in a bedroom in an ensuite doing that. It's the worst life you could possibly imagine. And not only is it physically harming you, it's mentally really destroying you, and it's just, you're becoming into a deeper hole. And then I think it was just more, it was more stressful because I was working in a job I just didn't enjoy, and I liked the girls there, but there was just some moments where I was just like, oh, I'm on the same shift as her, it's going to be a fight, there's going to be an argument, and I'm just not in the mood for it. You know, I had a really good manager though. He was very good, and he'd take us out on nights out and stuff like that at the end of the month when we'd hit our targets and stuff. And you know, there was moments, you know, you always think of negatives over positives. So now I'm thinking of some positives, and like, you know, there was some positives in that job. I enjoyed, you know, I met new friends there. I left on such a good note there. I left there in October, the end of October. So I handed my notice in September, and I got a new job, which is at a golf club called Hobridge, and I do the sales and events over there. Enjoyed that so much more because it didn't feel cutthroat. It wasn't a cutthroat office, and the managers are just brilliant there. They're superb. They're understanding. You know, they're actually human beings in a way, because they've got, you know, troubles outside of work, and they talk about it. They don't bring it into work, but they understand that if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. So, you know, life got so much easier after I started up at Hobridge. You know, obviously there was always their moments, but it got every job's going to have its moments, but it got so much easier, to which then when I started my new job, I was determined to sort of change my life around more. You know, I need to, you know, sort something out, because, you know, I just wasn't well, and I was like, right, I'm going to get myself into the gym. I could have done that at David Lloyd, but I didn't like it, and I'm not a gym person at all. I hated the gym. I was one of those, how do you like get the buzz off the gym? Like, are you okay?
And you were selling memberships at this point?
And I was selling memberships at this point to gym members. So, like, you could imagine there was months I was completely struggling.
Yeah.
Because how can you sell something you don't believe in?
Yeah.
You got no chance. I hated the gym. I couldn't stand it. And I got myself into the gym. The gym that I went to was a small, very small gym compact. It was friendly though. There was no big Jack Williams in the weights grunting at the time. You know, there was nothing like that. It was all just old ladies, and it was like a very nice gym. And I actually ended up getting, you know, I was just going in, doing 40 minutes of cardio and going, and I felt really good. You know, I got, you know, I still wasn't eating properly, but you know, I was doing better, and I was going to the gym. And you know, this was, you know, in 2017 from November. I was going to the gym 4 times a week, and it got very good, and I enjoyed it. And to the fact that I was like, wow, like now I'm seeing why people get the buzz. However, I was just doing cardio, so I was like, right, okay. January came, Christmas was over. I lost like loads of weight as well, in a good way. Not so good actually, because I wasn't eating properly. But I wasn't, at this point, bulimia was fading very slowly, but much better.
So how many times a week would you?
It would be like once.
A week?
Yeah, once a week.
After a binge?
After a big binge, yeah.
So it would only be a binge that would make you do it?
Mm-hmm. Big binge. But that Christmas of the relapse, it would be at every meal sort of thing.
Okay.
And it got to the point about 3 times a day.
What, 2017?
Mm-hmm. No, 2016. So, no, 2015, sorry.
That was the relapse.
That was the relapse, yeah.
And then we're at 2017 Christmas now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're at 2017 Christmas. You know, back to go into the year 2018. You know, that's when every new year I always say, this is my year. Yeah. But this time I didn't. You know, this time I believe that all the years I've said that, it's never been my year. It's been a rubbish year. It's been terrible. So, you know, 2018 came. I had a good New Year's Eve. You know, I've just spent it at the flat, didn't do anything special. And, you know, got up the next day, you know, visited all the family. And I remember going, Matt, because Matt was a personal trainer at this point, and Matt is my uncle. I was like, Matt, can you help me with some sort of program in the gym? And he actually joined the gym I was at. So I followed some of his programs, followed some of his routines. And this is when I was sort of introduced into weight training, which I always frowned upon. I thought, that's for men. Women don't lift. They don't lift weights. It's for men. So I got into weight training, and I can't tell you how much it changed. I was like, wow, I love this. And I was only doing like the same weights and doing the same exercises over and over again. And, you know, I saw results, but not as quick as it could have been, because I was just doing the same things, and I was just, my body, and doing the same weights. I wasn't improving. I improved, and then I stopped. I hit a ceiling. And at this point, you know, bulimia was not in the cards. It was like once every 2 weeks. It was very rare. And
then when you did it make you feel like you were back in the hole again, or did you just think, oh, it'll be 2 weeks till I do it again?
It made me feel guilty. I was like, I've done so well not to do it, and I've just done it. Like, but at this point, I was starting to tell people more.
And what was making you binge?
Just like, there'll be different moments in my life where I'll look at the past and I'll start to like panic, and I'll just be like, and I was like, am I going to lose control again? I need to gain control of something.
And then you do that.
And then I do that, yeah. So
and would it be on days off?
Days off, or
when no one else
in the morning.
Around.
No one else is around. So
would you binge in front of James?
No. There would be midnight, you know, sort of behaviour as well. Like 1 a.m, I'd be like up really late, and he'd be fast asleep, and I'd just be doing that. Like, he's gonna watch this and gonna be like,
he doesn't know.
Not really. No, he doesn't really know this raw, you know.
Who does know everything?
No one. No one knows it this raw. Everyone knows that something was going on. Mum knows that, but she doesn't. No one knows that it was this bad. You know, no one knows that I was up at 1 a.m. after scoffing my face in the evening in front of James, and then waiting till he fell asleep and doing that. Like, this is such a, like, I'm having like such, my chest is going beating fast to tell, like, but you know.
Did you drive down today thinking, I'm just gonna say everything?
Yeah, I drove down and I was like, people need to know, you know, my story. People need to understand the severe problems with eating disorders, and you know, it needs to be prevented. You know, I need closure on it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to help the people that go through that.
Yeah.
You know, because I know how horrible it is and how completely terrible and terrifying it is to families and not only the person. So, you know.
And how long has it been now since you last did it? I say did it. It makes it sound like it's like.
It's like a ritual. I would say last time I did it. Okay. Last time I did it. It's hard to think, but the last time I did it was probably July.
So you've been good. Well, we have a good month then.
I've been very good, but as I said, getting over an addiction is very hard, and it's hard to believe. And it was.
If you were to binge, because everyone has a binge. Let's say you were to binge after a great week. Now, do you think you would just be okay? Or do you still think like you would still want to go and be sick?
I would think I need to go get help if this is going to keep going on like this, and if this keeps happening. But I have to be honest with you, Jack, I don't think it's going to happen again.
You don't?
No.
You've made a decision?
I've made a decision because I've got something else on my mind now.
Yeah.
I've got something much bigger on my mind to worry and to do that. And one of the things is helping people. You know, that's what I want to help girls that go through this. I want to help girls like me, you know, overcome this. Because it's just the worst thing. And I don't think people understand that it affects a lot of people. You know, I can't say on the top of my head I know the results, but 40%, you know, of men are them, or of the UK or something like that. So it affects a lot of people. And, you know, the help that is given these days, there's charities around it, but I have to say I didn't receive help. I feel like I didn't receive help.
No.
And I feel like I couldn't have gone to my parents for help because they didn't understand. As I said, you feel when you're in that mindset, you feel like no one will understand you. You feel just you're on your own in this.
Yeah.
Like you're sat in a non-window room, all by yourself.
Yeah. I read something about, I think it was about alcohol and drugs anonymous, and they've got the 12 steps to recovery. Step 12 is always the step that most people always get stuck in the trap because they don't complete the last step. And the last step is to help others to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what gets people over the line. And hearing you say then, it's made me realise that my why is to help others. That's what's going to help me not do it anymore. That's so powerful, isn't it?
It's just the most powerful thing ever.
And what's made you realise that this is what you want to do?
Because, let's say, how many years? So I suffered with it for 6 years. That's almost a decade.
Yeah.
And
by the way, you're only 20, aren't you? So that's like a third of your life.
It's like a third of my life, yeah. I'm 20 years old. That's something I was saying to myself recently. I'm 20 years old and I've only, like, I'm quite disappointed, and I don't want to live my life in regret, but that is my regret.
Yeah. Is
not realising that I'm a person, like, you know, I could do something really powerful with my life, and that's where I'm like now realising, you know, I want to help others, because not only does that help others, it helps me. So it is, again, just such a powerful thing. Yeah. So that's where my mindset is, and to struggle with that for 6 years, you would think mentally that person's going to be beaten up. I'm surprised she's not dead already. Like that is honestly how I sometimes think people might say. Yeah. But, you know, you hit rock bottom, you only can go up. Yeah. And it's sad to say that I hit rock bottom at the age of 16. That's such a young age. But unfortunately for me, there's people that are 16 that struggle with depression, and, you know, there's been a high count of suicide in the last 5 years. Yeah. You know, especially that there's teenagers that do that, and it's just. And
the people who do normally are the ones that are no one
okay, knows. Like no one knows.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Instagram filters aren't just on Instagram, you know, they're also in
real life. So, you know, there was a story actually of someone around the area who went to school in Waterloo Vale, and he was just, no one knew he was struggling with anything So everyone was so shocked.
Yeah, they are.
And he'd committed suicide, and unfortunately he passed away. So it's just, people, you just meet on the street or anything like that who might be happy, they might not be. As you say.
Yeah, mental health is worse than ever at the moment, isn't it? And do you think it's, like you said, you've grown up in an age where it's become more difficult?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's one of the main reasons?
I've grown up in an era that is...
So was there social media when you was at school? Because I didn't have social media when I was at school.
It just started to come in.
I'm like a dinosaur now.
Yeah, you have cup phones.
I literally was perfect timing because I didn't
Yeah.
have social media.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Robin the other day, I think anyone would struggle now coming into school with like social media, like there's added pressure. Like I think when I was at school there was MSN. Do you remember MSN?
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
Maybe
MSN.
MySpace and Bebo.
Yeah.
And I remember not being that interested in it. Whereas now, if you haven't got Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat,
You're living under a rock basically. You don't know what's going on with the world. It's crazy how much we
but it adds all this pressure onto people. And like you say, Instagram filters aren't just on Instagram, and it's actually quite scary. But also a point you made was you hit rock bottom when you were 16, and you're 20 now.
Yeah.
Like it's taken you 4 years to get to the point where you're like happy.
Yeah.
So it takes so much patience and perseverance and consistency and just keep going.
Absolutely. It takes a long time, but just keep going. Like lift your head high.
What would your advice be to someone who's going through like an eating disorder or depression or alcohol or drugs, like whatever their form of escapism is? What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be, you will get through this. There is always, up. You can't get lower than you are now. Just keep going. Talk about it. I tell them to talk about it. I tell
Is that
them
what you
not
didn't
to
do?
That's what I didn't do. So.
Is that why it lasted so long? Do you think you didn't talk about it?
Yeah, because I was embarrassed mostly.
And who would you talk to? Because, like you said, no one understands.
I talk to everyone now.
Really?
In fact, I spoke to my mum about it properly the other day. Finally, again, I've matured to tell people why I did it, and that's when I first saw my mum actually understand. Because
I bet it felt good for you just to get it off your shoulders.
Oh, so good. In fact, I told obviously the team Be More in the live chat, and I was just after that's when I spoke to my mum.
And I had no idea, by the way. So Jess is on my team, and we asked Jess to tell her story just because you're such an excited character. And I was like, this is going to be amazing. And so we said to the team on a Facebook group, it's a private group, like Jess is going to go live tonight. I'm so excited to hear her story.
Yeah.
And then I watched it in here with Robin, and Robin was like crying her eyes out, and I was just like, I had no idea at all. And they're probably going to be listening to this podcast now who are your friends and family, and they'll be like, wow, like, I had no idea. And it's so inspiring, so powerful.
Yeah.
And good for you for telling like your story, because a lot of people obviously are in a position where they wouldn't, and they still are, like they're still suffering. And I'm the same. Like I've had my problems like gambling, eating disorders myself. Like I never got to the point where I'd be sick, but I would binge all the time. It would make me feel terrible. And I was there being like yourself, trying to sell gym memberships. I was trying to sell a healthy lifestyle on social media, and my life was an Instagram filter for years. And it hasn't been until like maybe the last year where I've started to tell actually people the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the truth will set you free.
It does. That's the thing. It's just, you need to be honest and you need to tell the truth. Otherwise, again, you're living in an Instagram filter in real life. And
so what is leading people to look for escapism?
In terms of what, like people with the struggles, or like
what makes you go and binge, or what makes you go and have a binge on alcohol or food? Because yours was food, and then you'd be sick. Other people it would be alcohol. People it would be
drugs or things like that.
Everyone's got their own form of escapism, and it's more prevalent than you probably think.
Yeah.
So you might go tell someone about what you went through, and they'll be like, well, I've been through something exactly the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
And everyone's going through something different, because I think we live in a world today where it is very toxic. Like, it is very negative. We've got such pressure with our jobs.
It's huge.
We're being like, literally, I was saying this to a guest on the podcast the other day, how we live in a world where it's just very, very stressful. And
absolutely.
That stress is hitting our bodies and our mind. Like you're reading a book called The Slight Edge at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's like these small things daily, they compound over time and go into work, into a negative environment. It just drips as cortisol daily into your body, and you have no idea that what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you realise that it just has this effect over a long term. It makes you just go pop. you go bang and you just start doing things that aren't true to who you want to be or what you want to do, but you get consumed into the way the world wants you to think.
Absolutely.
And we're programmed into thinking a certain way. Obviously, you're now realising that this isn't what I want to do, this isn't how I want to live my life. I've now got my own purpose. And I'm so happy for you to get that at 20.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a lot longer to find that, and you've now got the whole life in front of you where you're like, I've been through this now. It's going to teach you so many valuable lessons. And I know right now you're probably thinking it's been the hardest 6 years.
Yeah.
But there'll be times when you'll be like, you probably feel it now, I'm so grateful to have gone through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it'll make you who you are, and it'll make you, your story will just impact so many people's lives.
Yeah.
Because now you're on the march through, like you said, 2018. Even though you didn't say it, it is going to be your year where it will change, and you'll look back on this year.
That's what I was going to say, is the 1 year I didn't say it's my year, it's been my year. It seems like I've jinxed my other years, whereas this year it's just been, it's been unbelievable.
So in 2019, will you say this is my year? It's going to be my year.
Do you know what? 2019, I am going to be saying this year's going to be unbelievable. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that. It's going to be everyone's year. You know, because again, anyone that I know, I wanna help.
You wanna help,
and because everyone has their troubles, everyone has different things, and as you say, you don't know what's going on in anyone's life. No. Everyone's different. And one thing I would say to people going through anything, any struggles, depression, alcoholics, drug abuse, people that are bad habits and things like that. Just I want people to imagine looking at yourself at 5 years old. This is what I did. I looked at my sofa and I imagined that little girl who had no idea what she was about to do, no idea what she was about to grow up into. And I want people to say to that younger version of their self, I want them to say, you're going to have an eating disorder, and you're going to think you are ugly, and you're going to think you are disgusting, and you're going to be embarrassed. And they won't be able to.
No.
And I got that actually from a program called My Mad Fat Diary, and it's about I don't know if it's about an eating disorder, but it's about back in the day, sort of this girl who the only way she could control her life was just eating loads.
Yeah.
Like binging again, because there's so many different forms of eating disorders. People can be just stuffing their faces, binging to make themselves feel better, comfort eating, or bulimia or anorexia. There's so many rare different ones. And she went through that, and she had to look at the sofa and look at a younger version of herself, but she couldn't bring herself to say any of those horrible things, because you were a child once.
It's so true.
It's just amazing, and instead of saying that, it kind of makes you think, like, wow.
That's so powerful.
I can't put myself through that.
I always ask guests, if you could go back to a 21-year-old self, what would you say? And obviously you're not even 21 yet, so I was thinking, can I ask Jess that question? But you've just literally done it with yourself. And that's even more powerful, because obviously
huge. Yeah.
The example we set to others as well is a huge thing. And I know obviously you haven't got children, I don't know what your plans are with that, but you're now going to bring people into this world if you do, and they're going to be like, my mum's a hero.
Yeah.
My mum's a superhero. Whereas if you were going through the times where you were struggling, that would be so unfair on them.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. Again,
so
it's
powerful.
You're a role model to everyone. You're especially your children. If I have children, it will be way a good decade.
Yeah.
I don't want children at 20.
You've got a world to change first.
I've got a world to change first. Exactly. I've got a lot to do, and I find that, for example, I love my parents to pieces. They had me at a very young age, and my brother as well. So, but it's only now they're living their teenage years. Me and my brother moved out. They've got a camper van. Wow, guys, you're living your life. Live it to the full. Now that you're kid free. But my dad's got a very high temper to the point it's actually quite funny now to look back. He would just have a shout off if he sneezed 3 times, and he'd just I found that I've got quite a high temper, and I'm like, wow, did I inherit that from my dad? I must have. And again, it's you reflect off your parents, you mirror them, depending on which one you mirror. So,
But there'll also be things that you'll mirror that you don't even realise yet that you'll be so grateful for in 3 or 4 years' time.
Absolutely. Like, I wouldn't change I think I've got to the point now where I finally have come out, my work ethic is so much more better than before. I get up, the earliest I've got up is probably 6. I'm not a morning person, but I'm getting up at like 6, 7, to go to the gym. If I'm working 11:30, I'll get up at like 8 o'clock, It's just so amazing. And my dad's got a very high work ethic, and that's
now starting to show.
In myself.
Whereas before,
as well.
when you started work at 1, you'd be like, I'm just going to watch Netflix all day, hence why he'd get annoyed.
Exactly. And his high temper and my high temper completely clashed. So since I've moved out though, mine and my parents' relationship has been the strongest it's ever been. And, I think the other day was the first time I came home after hearing Matt's story on Facebook Live, and I was just so upset about it. My parents didn't realise why I was upset, and I spoke to them about it, but before that they were upset about something else. I didn't realise that it was a year since my dad's granddad passed away, so I was in a bad mood, they were in a bad mood, and it was the first time in like a year that we had an argument, but it wasn't a full-blown one.
No.
It was quite a funny one looking back, but it didn't last long. And I was like, I'm so shocked with how well I get on with my parents compared to when I lived at home. Now I thank my dad every day for inspiring me, and we have such a good relationship. We've got this whole sense of humour.
Are they also behind your why, do you think? Like why you want to go and be really successful? Because
absolutely,
you want to almost repay them?
I want to repay them. I feel absolutely privileged to why. That's why I want to do it. It's because I want my parents to be proud of me. I don't want to disappoint them. I want to, because my dad, I was the child that they all thought was going to be the one pregnant at 16, the alcoholic, person on drugs, and they were shocked. Because in fact, my goody two shoes brother, who's smart, computers, everything, he's the one he's 22 this year in November, and he's having his second child in November. Wow. So he's a young parent, but he's doing so well. He is doing outstanding, and it's a bit of a joke where, we thought you were going to be the young mum. And it's like, nope, it's not that case anymore. I'm the one that's very career driven, and I'm ready to, but again, I'm now realising there is so much more to work than, you live your life working, pay bills, and then you die. That's not how I want life to be. No way. And I want to make a change. And I was thinking the other day, back in the day, people had so much more show for their money because obviously tax wasn't as high, housing prices weren't as high as they are now. Like, there was so much more opportunity to show your money. Now this generation, these days, the expenses are just unbelievable. It's just ridiculous to get on the housing market. Your grandparents have houses that they can pass down to you because in their generation it was easy to get on the housing market.
Like £4 for a house.
Yeah, exactly.
We're about to go for breakfast and it'll cost us more than that for breakfast.
Exactly, it's just ridiculous. And now it's so hard to show your money. You work hard, but what have you got to show for it? And that's where I want to get myself into a place where, like Kev, look at him, he's got everything to show for, but he's not showing it off in a bad way. He's inspiring
and he's got
others.
Time freedom as well, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you've got no time, then you're still poor.
Like look at all those rich members at James's Golf Club. I don't know how they have time to play golf.
Yeah, to be fair, if they're playing golf, they must have a bit of time. maybe that is their escapism.
They must be on their escapism, exactly that. Or they might have their phones in their pockets, still having to answer calls and emails. And it's just like, my dad has quite a good career at the moment, but his, it's not going as well because of obviously these days, building a company, it's just completely different. That's why they're looking to rent out a pub and run it. They're looking to a completely different career. They're looking for something else. He's a financial director at the moment. He's looking now to be a landlord. Wow. Like Danny Dyer off EastEnders. That's his inspiration. That's his role model, and Brilliant. It's so funny because he dresses like him too sometimes, and he acts like him. I'm like, Dad, come on, you're not Danny Dyer. But if he rents out a pub, I'm like, fair enough.
In fact, he can be there, can't he?
Exactly, he can be. So, no, I'm so inspired and I'm so excited, and my life in the past 2 months has changed. Like, a lot of people are saying to me, the people that I brought to on Thursday are all like, you're a completely different person to what you were last year. I was like, you put me next to myself last year, they are completely separate. You'll see someone here slouch, bags under her eyes, just completely no energy, just, horrible. And you see me, I get up every day, I'm a complete gym freak. I love the gym, I love talking to friends, I've become such more sociable, and I'm just enjoying life more now than ever. And do you know what, I've got so much more to go, and this is the part I love talking about. Like, 6 years of just, like, honestly, mentally messed up, like horrible, just a horrible 6 years to now, in the space of 2 months almost. I can't believe it.
I'm so excited for you. This is crazy, because people even listening thinking now, how are you 20?
Yeah.
Like, you've got such an incredible story, and you tell it in a way, and I've just been hit with about 1 million ton of dopamine. I'm so happy right now for you. This is crazy. And I've had a similar year, and I was like, my whole life has changed in the last year. Yeah. And I feel like a dinosaur. I'm 26. I'm like, come on, we've got loads of time. But then I'm seeing you. You're 20. I'm like, come on. This is so exciting.
I literally live, and I'm living, and that's the best thing. And like, when I wake up every morning, I've got such a drive. Like, I am excited for today. I never had that before. I used to say to myself, get through today. Now I'm like, I am excited to live today. I am happy to be here.
So rather than saying get through the day, you're saying let's get from the day.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's just, there's so much going for me, and I'm just so excited. And as I said, I've become a completely different person. I've become so much more positive. Like the other, I went for an interview, and for a very big role in this job, and I didn't get it. That was me a year ago. God, I would have been heading towards rock bottom again. Whereas now I'm like, right, okay, let's jump over that. Never mind. I'll show them. They've lost something. I was like completely. I told James, I didn't get the job, because it was a very big thing. Like, if I got it, and James would have been like, yeah. But I was like, I didn't get it, but I'm still excited. I'm so excited to still live my life. Like,
there's something better.
There is something better out there. Sure, yeah. I'm excited to tell everyone what's out there.
So how can people follow your journey? What's your social media?
So my social media is Jessica Emerson 84. I don't know why it's 84. I think it was just...
Yeah, you wasn't born then. No. And you tried to pretend you're older than you were. You're like catfishing people on Instagram.
Yeah, I was catfishing people.
And on Facebook, have you got like a...
I've got just I haven't got a page. I'm going to set up a page soon, but I've got my normal Facebook, which people can add me on. I've got... You'll see loads of photos. You'll see my whole life through my timeline of photos. And
from now it's going to start getting, obviously, like you said,
it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. There is going to be so many, like, before all my photos were football photos, and then they turned into like nights out photos, and then it stopped for a while, and now it's like, it's going to be so much better. There's going to be photos of me living my life properly. And
I'm so excited for you.
It's going to be so good.
I think where your life's changed so much in a year, shall we promise the listeners that we're going to bring you on in a year's time and show them how much has changed again?
Absolutely. In a year's time, I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to say I'm completely overcome bulimia, and I'm on this and on that, and I'm just going to be the most excited person. And
you've got a vision for it already, which is why it's going to happen, because you can already see it. So.
And my goal is by next year is to not be working full time.
And to have your own business full time.
To have my own business full time, to work from home, to enjoy life, to have freedom. That's one thing I'm missing at the moment, and I'm going to get it. And I tell you what, I'm so excited, and I'm excited because I'm doing with James, this team. There's so many people in this team that are all the same, and it's so it's so exciting, and it's so amazing to be a part of this positive community.
It's awesome.
It's just wicked. Like, I've got the biggest grin on my face, and I'm just like...
Love it.
Yeah, like when I was talking about all my troubles, I had like a little lump in my throat holding back, like from completely tearing, whereas now I'm like, wow, let's go, let's do this. So
it's on. Right, we're going to bring you back in a year's time. Make sure you follow her journey through Instagram, because it's going to be a hell of a ride.
It's going to be a ride.
Thanks for listening, guys. I think you'll all agree that's been unbelievable. and we will see you in the next one.
Wicked. See you next year.
Wow, how good was that? What an unbelievable story. What an inspiring young powerhouse. I'm so excited to follow her journey. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me and Jess know what you think. Be sure to follow her on Instagram. Follow her journey with us in her quest to being more, which, yeah, she's going to absolutely hammer it. I'm so excited for her. And yeah, I'm very grateful for your time, for listening to the podcast as always. Please leave us a comment and a review, and I will see you in the next one. By the way, we have some very, very big episodes on their way. The podcast is on fire at the moment. Thanks as always for listening. And if you have anyone who you know who would be an awesome guest, let me know, as I'm always looking for new guests. So yeah, cheers guys. Have an awesome week, and I will see you in the next one.